Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Total Practice 1 Keyboard Week 2 online lesson. I'm very happy to see all of you again during this video. Hello. First, so I will tell you what's the class going on this video lecture section. So today, I will introduce for the file 7 with complete file 7 and incomplete file 7 in the keyboard, and we will study CP9 and CP10 together. However, before I go that in the piano, I want to review the basic rule and the basic harmony progression with the file 7 chord. Since I know during the spring break, Professor David assigned 2 assignments on the new. I believe that all of you to read the handout and submit the assignment. And Professor David already graded some of the assignment and returned back to you. But some of you, I know you still not receive any comments or grade. So you need to be more patient. And I certainly believe that Professor David will give back to you as soon as he can. The first part of this video will be introducing again for the file 7 chord, how to prepare the 7th of the file 7, and how to resolve the file 7 chord to 1. The second part, I want to talk about your assignment for the file 7 in the root position. I will show how to write the harmonic progression based on the figure bass and based on the bass line. So I will show step by step. In the last, I will turn and shift my computer to another location, and then I will show some your CP9 and CP10 progression in keyboard. So I will project my piano in this video. Okay? Before we start the lecture, I really wish you and your family are healthy and during this very bizarre time. So I believe all of you in the online lesson move very good and you really study well during the online lesson. And I believe based on work together, we can get there. And finally, we can all pass the Total Practice 1 and will have a good semester. So I'm here to help all of you. So please let me know if you need tutoring section or you have any question, just let me know. I would very happy to help all of you. Okay, now we'll talk about the file 7 in root position. Before we really go to review the assignment and for your keyboard exercise, I need to give the basic review. For the file 7 chord, we have 2 types of the file 7 chord. The first is complete file 7. The second is incomplete file 7 chord. So they both have their own rules and their own technique to resolve. So for the file 7 chord, the most important element that I need to highlight in this video is about to resolve the 7th of the file 7 chord. Please be remember, whenever you do the part writing exercise or keyboard exercise, when you have the 7th of the file 7 chord, you must resolve down by a step. Because the 7th of the file 7 chord is really unstable, right? This should to return somewhere to return the 1 chord with really resonant sound. For example, in the file 7 chord in the C major, the 7th should going down by a step. The 7th should resolve down by a step. So that's the first important thing. So we cannot go to that will sound really weird and it's not really resolve the 7th. So this is really important. The first tendency tone I will call. The second important tone about file 7 in root position is the third. Why the third is important? Because the third of the 5/7 chord, right? The third should go to 1. For example, in the 5/7 chord of the C major, the third of the 5/7 chord actually is a leading tone, the scale degree 7 in the C major. It must be returned back to a tonic. 7 must go back to 1. That's no doubt, because in many of the composers like Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven that you listen in the classical period, they all resolved the scale degree 7 to 1. For example, in the Mozart piece, right? We hear the 7th with G sharp return to a tonic A. If he do something like right and or something else, he didn't return the 7th of that A major. It will sound not like a perfect authentic cadence. So that's really important because 5/7 chord is technically most of time to go to 1. We want to hear that the leading tone going back to the tonic. So that's why the third of the 5/7 chord always move up by a step. So these two rules with this yellow and green highlight, you never can forget. Okay. The third type of the 5/7 chord is the fifth, right? In here, I will to say the fifth of the 5/7 chord can be more flexible. Sometimes it can resolve down, and sometimes you can resolve up, depend the different situation. So I will talk more about the fifth of the 5/7 chord in a second. The last, the root of the 5/7 chord, is technically up by a perfect fifth interval or down by a perfect fifth interval, right? So let's look the progression. Before we look the progression, we need to see how they resolve this progression. First, let's circle the 7th of the 5/7 chord, the F chord, right? The F note in the 5/7 chord is the 7th. It moved down by a step, go to the 1 chord. It moved down by a step. And we check the second tendency tone, which is the leading tone with B. Oops. Which is the B. This B is a scale degree 7 of the C major, so it moved up by a step to return to the tonic. Let me play this progression for you. Second time, please hear all the voice and then think about why this progression is interesting. What is the very unusual for this progression? Okay, let me tell you, I need to circle this chord. Because in the really last chord of this progression, oops, this one chord, if you see, it means the fifth, right? The one chord. It does not have the song, the fifth of the one chord. What he do in this progression is that they omit the fifth when they resolve the 5/7, complete 5/7 to 1. And it should be reinforced the tonic by 3 different voices, bass, tenor, and soprano. So that's called incomplete 1. incomplete one must be consist with 3 tonic notes and 1 note of the third. Tonic, 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 and third. If we omit the third, the sound will be very hollow, like a perfect fifth. So the third will be sound more resonant. For the second progression, let's check the voice leading first. The seventh of the 5/7 chord move down by a step. Leading tone move up. So the progression will be complete 5/7 to incomplete 1. And third progression start on the fifth, soprano scale degree fifth. Right? So that's the progression for the complete 5/7 to incomplete 1. By doing that, so you need to think to resolve the seventh and raise the leading tone, like to return back to tonic. So that's important. Let me play these 3 progressions for you. Okay? For this week, because we will study the progression for the CP9 and CP10, before do that, I highly recommend you practice only these 3 progressions for each group only for 3 notes. Ask a question by yourself to transpose to the different key. For example, if I practice this progression, I want to do D major. I will do, right? And then so by doing this, you will be more familiar and more like to familiar with all the chord progression with your finger, with your memory in your head, etc. So do this exercise first. Second, I want to introduce a new type of chord. It's really tricky. It's for the incomplete 5/7. The incomplete 5/7 chord. So before we go this rule, we will see how the incomplete 5/7 be constructed. Oh, let me do the circle this chord first. Okay, we have the tonic, root, and root. This is actually the seventh and the third. We have 2 roots, 1 seventh and 1 third. I will say 2 roots, 1 third of the 5/7 and 1 seventh. So if you will see that this chord is missing the fifth, they omit the fifth to compose this harmony progression. We omit the fifth. That's called an incomplete 5/7 chord. So this is really important that you need to memorize. Whenever you create or play an incomplete 5/7 chord, you must double the root. I will say double the root, and you must have a third of 5/7 and a seventh of the 5/7. If you omit the fifth or do another way, it will be incorrect. Okay? So that's called incomplete 5/7. So the complete 5/7 actually has the bass, fifth, seventh, and third. Now we omit the fifth, and then we reinforce the tonic and resolve to 1. So that's called incomplete 5/7. I will give you some of the strategy. Whenever you do the part writing exercise, if you think your 5/7 chord cannot connect with the chord before the 5/7, you can always try to use some incomplete 5/7 chord. Maybe it will help your voice leading better. Okay, So this is just a technique. And some of students in the last semester in my TP1 keyboard class, they just omit the fifth, like they just omit the third instead of omit the fifth, doing like its sound will be very poor, like not really resonant, because they miss the leading tone in that key. So that's why we never omit the third of the 5/7 chord. Okay, is that clear? If you have questions, ask me. Okay. Now let's check the voice leading. The tendency tone, seventh, move down by a step. The leading tone move up to the tonic. And then we move to incomplete 5/7 to 1. Notice this one chord has the complete 1. Instead of incomplete 1 in here, they do the opposite way. In here, we have complete 5/7 to incomplete 1. But in here, we have incomplete 5/7 to complete 1. So that's the difference actually. Okay. So now let's go over this chart. The tendency tone, the rule is most of the same. The seventh must be going down by a step. The third of the chord move up by a step. Notice in the third line, one root of the 5/7 chord should be keep, right? We keep the G in here to the 1 chord, and the rest of the root of the 5/7 just automatically move up by a perfect fourth or down by a perfect fifth. So that's the point for incomplete 5/7. Let me transpose to G major to play this progression that you can hear. Omit the fifth. Omit the fifth. So that's the incomplete 5/7. Notice the difference. Okay? Now, the really important. Let's go to the next page. Although it's very important, it looks very scary, it really looks very intense, but I will first to say something. This rule is only for keyboard exercise. The mean is that in the part writing, you can do more flexible rather than really strict rules. So what's the more flexible part? Okay, let's go back. In here, the flexible is not means that we do not need to resolve the seventh. We must resolve the seventh of the 5/7 chord and also the leading tone, the third of the 5/7. However, in this part, the fifth of the 5/7 can be more flexible. It means that sometimes the fifth can going up. For example, some of the composer will do the complete 5/7 to complete 1. Move the D, the fifth, to be up by a whole step instead of going down by a step. But for the keyboard exercise, you must follow this rule. When you play the complete 5/7 chord, you must resolve to incomplete 1. Please remember, complete 5/7 to incomplete 1. In the contrary, when you play the incomplete 5/7 chord, you should resolve to complete 1 chord. So this all the details is on your keyboard packet, page 40. You can check and review. Also, I already posted on the new learning system. You can click the left side of your screen, the resource, and then to find handout for 5/7 in root position with parentheses keyboard that you can review. And now I want to review the assignment for you for this week with the little worksheet that we did before. First, let's go to this progression in D major. Before you do the figure-based exercise in the keyboard or in the part writing, we must be clear that what the Roman numeral is it. If nothing below the note is just in root position, this is from D major, okay? From D major. And let's go over Roman numeral first for this assignment. First, 1. Second is a 6/4 chord. However, if we look the scale degree above the E, it will be 5/6/4 chord. So let me write the progression. And then the third chord will be 1/6. So notice that the 5/6/4 chord doesn't make clarity, I will say, because whenever you write the 6/4 chord, you must be specific what type of the 6/4 chord is it. In here, it's definitely a passing 6/4 because the note is in between with Re and F sharp. So this means it's a passing 6/4. Continue move up, it is the 4 chord. And then you see a 7 below the A. You need to think what the note above A is the 7, right? It's what's like the interval. First, you need to recognize the A, the note La in the D major is a scale degree fixed. It will be 5 chord. However, it shows a 7 for you. It will be 5/7. 5/7. And then somebody confused about this note. Move A to the B. These two notes actually, because you will ask me, oh, the 5/7 should go back to 1, right, to resolve to tonic. However, in here, it gives you a B, which is the scale degree 6 in the root position. So in here, it actually is a deceptive motion. It's not a deceptive cadence. The deceptive motion is that sometimes when composer want to extend the phrase, they do not end close by a 1 chord. Instead, they will choose the 6th chord to be the deceptive chord for the instead of the 1, because 6th chord also has the tonic function that they can substitute 1. So that's really like important part for the TP1, right? For I want to make this little mark for deceptive motion. And then you might be confused about the 6 in here because the rhythmic value in here is a half note. So this half note should be a 4 chord. Right? Oh, oops. 4 chord in the downbeat, in the beat 3. The 6 actually in here, it means that it's in here the beat 4 may need to change to another harmony. We definitely know that a note above G is 2/6 chord, and then we have finally a 1/6/4 again. Oh, is that 1/6/4? No, because it's a cadence. We must write cadential 6/4, right? And then to 5/7, resolve to 1. Okay, clear how to show the Roman numeral? After we show the Roman numeral, we need to we write the 4-part writing. In this 4-part writing, the beginning of this chord progression is like a really important. We have passing 6/4. Do you remember how the passing 6/4 work? That we need to have a voice exchange. The voice exchange, it means some of the voice need to write a fa mi re against the bass. So I recommend you do the voice exchange in the soprano because it will be easier to the voice exchange. And then we need to harmonize other two voices. Oops. Okay. And I need to move this to second voice. Yes, that will be good. Okay. And then let's move to let's harmonize the alto. And then keep the common tone as many as possible. Okay, then we finish the first part of the tonic prolongation, passing 6/4. Okay, next chord, the 4 chord, we just keep the common tone B between the 1/6 and 4, and then we need to move other voice as little as possible. And always check the parallel, right? Because sometimes it's very dangerous to make the parallel or direct fifths. Now, I make this harmonic progression for the first measure. Okay. Now, we move to a tricky harmony, which is the 5/7 chord. This 5/7 chord, someone will do something like that. Let me show you. Maybe you will do. Okay. You will think, oh, the 7 chord, 5/7 chord is La Do Mi Sol, right? In here that I wrote. However, it will be a big problem. Oh my god. Did you hear the parallel fifths between the soprano and bass? Like, right? Something like really imperialism. I forgot the word that described the Debussy or Ravel. So that's a parallel fifth. We must avoid that. It's not okay. So now you will be struggle. You will think how to move the voice. Someone will try. Oh, maybe I do something like that. It's okay. But I want to talk to you about the best way for this chord is to. Do you remember that I told you in this lecture about sometimes when the complete 5/7 chord not work, you can work with incomplete 5/7, right? Then we omit the fifths and we reinforce the tonic in the tenor and the bass. How about that? That will be connect really good between the two chords. However, we need to go to the 6th chord. Okay. So the 6th chord normally double the root, right? So we can double the root. Oops. You will do something like that. However, this is a parallel 8, like the parallel unison, right? The parallel unison. So that's the tricky point. So today I want to mention again that when you do the 5-7 to 6 chord, please do not double the root on the 6th chord. You must double the third for the 6th chord. I will tell you reason in a second. Because this is must be you must know that very well. So now I see this 5-7 chord to the 6th chord with a deceptive motion. Now I double the third of the 6th chord. The only thing that is not good is that because I have the voice crossing. This is the tenor with A, and the next chord, the bass, is above the tenor. It's called the range, the voice crossing. So how to fix? Well, let me try that. Then you will not have the voice crossing. The two reasons we must double the third for the 6th chord when we use 5 to 6 or 5-7 to 6 is that, first, the 6th chord doesn't really a tonic like a 1. It's a deceptive chord. It prevents the chord progression moving forward. If this progression do something like it ends, it's finished. However, what this progression do is we didn't finish, and then they go to the cadence, right? So that's why we should to know the 6th chord has a really important function. The first reason for the 6th chord double the third is to avoid any parallel, similar 5th and 8th. If you really double the third after 5 chord or 5-7 chord, right? Double the third on the 6th chord, you will never have any trouble. Second, because this is a deceptive motion, we reinforce the third because the third of the 6th chord is actually a tonic of the in D major. We reinforce the tonic by doubling the third on the 6th chord to let us to hear there's a tonic note still exists. We never lose the progression. That's the two reasons. Okay? Let's move forward. The 4 chord after the 6th chord, you need to realize that the 4 chord can use after 6th chord. It will be something that I write here. And then this is just the 4 chord moved to 2 6 chord. Also to be remembered that when you want to use the subdominant function chains like 6 4 2 6, you need to memorize that the larger number can connect the lower number, but the lower number cannot connect to the larger number. For example, the 2 cannot go to the 4. It's not really good. We will talk more about that in the future. But now just keep in mind 6 4 2, just from the larger number to the small number. So we just move to 2 6 by changing only one note in the soprano, and then it's moved to cadential 6 4 and 5 7. In here, we need to decide we use complete 5 7 or incomplete. So let's move as little as possible for the voice. For the 5/7 chord, I can let's try to incomplete 5/7. Just the experiment in here. This is incomplete 5/7. We omit the fifth of mi, right? And then we finally go back to 1. Okay, now this progression is finished. So why I did really actually smooth with my voice leading? Because when I move a new chord, I only consider the chord before that to think about how to move voice as little as possible and how to follow the 5/7 guideline to resolve. Let me play this progression for you. 5/7, deceptive motion to the 6th. Incomplete 5/7. I know the soprano melody is a little bit bored because we didn't add non-chord tone. If I add more non-chord tone, something like that, I just improvise. It will be more interesting and will be more attractive for this progression. Okay? If you be confused that what you're making mistake in your assignment, please let me know. I will explain to you. Okay, so now let's talk about the second progression for your assignment. In the second progression, the difference than the first chord progression is about we do not have the figure base number below the note. It means that you need to construct the harmony and think the Roman numerals by yourself by using all the knowledge that we studied in the TP1. So this is a little bit harder because you need to think to decide which chord you use by yourself. For this exercise, I need to share about the strategy for how to decide the harmony. Now, let's only write for the key, for the B minor, right? So before you do this progression, you need to play this progression on the piano or sing the progression in your mind. Okay, again. Now this time, when I play this bass line to try to think the scale degree of the bass line, for example, the B is absolutely scale degree 1. 1, 5, 1, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so first, we need to know that this piece, like this progression, ends on a half cadence. So here, we need to choose the 5 chord in the really end of the progression. And now, let's decide how to do the like the harmony. First, B, absolutely 1 chord, right? Second, this is F sharp, which is the scale degree 5 of the B minor. So I would think, right, there's a 5 or 5/7 chord. Let's write 5/7 in here. Because we cannot use any inversion of this bar sharp because the only inversion for the F sharp is like the major 3/6. So we do not use 3/6 chord now, so we only use the 5/7. And the next chord is 5/7, normally resolved to 1, right? Okay, now we see the 8 notes with E and C. So the both of the note it on the scale degree 4 and 2. So probably it's a subdominant function instead of a dominant atonic function. So we probably will think it's like a 4 chord, right, in root position. Or if you want to write 2 diminished 6, it's possible, another option. 2 diminished 6 to the 2 diminished chord in root position. This is, I think, the best way because we have the 2-6 chord to move to F is like a dominant function, right? So let's write 2-6 and 2. Next, someone will think to do the 5 chord in here because it's a scale degree 5 in the bass, right? However, if you look at the G, it's a scale degree 6, right? Scale degree 6. The scale degree 6, it means that this is something like here as a deceptive motion. In here, we have another deceptive motion again. So we need to write 5-7 to major 6. So this is called deceptive motion. Let me write down. Okay. When we have this deceptive motion, now the next chord, we can have 2 choices. First, it's a scale degree 4. We can use 4 chord to the 5 in here. Or you can use 2-6 to the 5. That's the ending to end in a half cadence. Now, let's figure out about this part. This part actually, it's a 5 chord. It's a dominant function. That's totally correct. However, if we want to choose more variety that make the harmonic progression have more sense, we can try to think about the cadence first. First, we have half cadence in the end. However, we insert another deceptive motion between the 5-7, 2-6, and 5. There's a deceptive motion. Like I said before, in the progression, deceptive cadence, deceptive motion is to prevent the progression moving forward. It can be a stop and then to continue to move again. So probably here it's a 6 chord. So in here, actually, first, if we can like nominate that the 5-7 to the 6 is like a cadence, is a motion, we can choose like the very standard cadence with cadential 6-4. Oh, oops, cadential 6-4 to 5-7 to 6. That will make sense because let me put this progression for you. Like right? 5-7. So we end with the perfect authentic cadence if we use cadential 6-4, 5-7. However, now we prevent the harmony progression is not end, and then and a half cadence. So we have a double cadence with right now. So that makes more sense. So I would use the cadential 6-4 for this progression. Okay. Let's harmonize this progression. So first, let's do this way. Yes, to write this progression. Now, if I write a chord format, right? So I need to start on 1 and then move to 5/7. To move the voice as little as possible, the La sharp can connect with B, and the E can connect to F sharp, right? And then C sharp in here. Okay, now the hard job to resolve the seventh. We know that the seventh of the 5/7 chord in here is fa la do mi, right? The seventh first should be going down by a step. Okay, the leading tone must going up, right? So leading tone going up, so it becomes an incomplete one in here, and the fifth move up technically, right? Then we have the progression. Oh my god, I did wrong, sorry. The fifth should going down, and then we have the progression with 1 5 7 2 1. Let's check. Right? And then we need to do the 2/6 chord. The 2/6 chord must be double the third. Always try to double the third, which means we need to double the bass. First, let's do this way. We double the third, and then, right, we double the third, and it connects to the 2 chord in root position. And now, cadential 6/4, we double the bass, double the fifths. So, first, let's do the alto and soprano. Move as little as possible. Now, if we want to double the third, I can choose to use a unison because I don't have any voice overlap, like voice crossing, right? The bass is in here, so I do not have voice overlap. I can write as a unison in the F sharp. Then, to the 5/7, still move as little as possible for all the voice. I need La sharp, and E is connected to Re, and C sharp is connected to B. Now, there's a tricky point for the 6th chord. It's a deceptive motion. So, I know the easiest way is to do that. Right? Okay, now let's check the voice leading. First, when you check the parallel fifths and parallel eighths, we need to find the interval inside of this chord. Let's check. This is the perfect fifth chord with bar sharp and do sharp. However, it goes to the contrary motion. Second, the diminished fifths in here, right? It moved the perfect fifths. It's called a parallel fifth. That's a problem. To be remembered, whenever you move the perfect fifths to the diminished fifths, it's not a parallel fifth. It's acceptable. However, a diminished fifth moved to a perfect fifth is not allowed because the third problem for these 2 chords is we have the La sharp to G, which is augmented seconds chord. Augmented second, right? Like, it sounds really bad, I would say, because it's really like a dissonance. So we must avoid. So how to avoid this problem? Well, you just double the third for the sixth chord to reinforce the tonic in B minor. The tonic in the B minor is B, C, and then we move the tenor to B to double the third and reinforce the tonic. Right? And then, because I already have two sixth chords, I can use like a 4 chord in here to make more variety. I changed my mind. And then, for the sixth chord, connect to the 4 chord. It's keep the common tone B, right? And then I double the root for the 4 chord. And then for the 5 chord. In here, for the first keyboard class, in the G16 or in the G03, I taught you that for the 4 chord to the 5 chord, we must move to the contrary motion between the soprano and bass, right? I believe you remember. If you do something like that, boom, it's a parallel fix. So, first, let's write the soprano. And then, write the alto, and the tenor should be unison as a double F. Now we finish the progression. Okay? So that's the way how to write a progression to make more sense. Let me play this progression for you. And now listen, especially in the inner voice, to think why this is a good voice speaking. Cadenza 6/4. Deceptive motion. Right? The chord progression is sound like a tonal music and the chord works very well. So now if I add more non-chord tunes, just improvise. It will be sound have a more variety. So let's summarize for to how to write the progression. First, when you get a bass line does not have any figure bass below, you just play and sing first to sync the scale degree. Most of the chord that you can always use the root position. Sometimes you can consider the inversion. Okay. And now, so especially for the 5, 7 to 6 is a good review. So I need to mark this with a square. So that you can easily see that here is an important part for this class. Okay. If you have any questions regarding the assignment, I will be very happy to answer all of you. Okay, so that's for the assignment review, basically. If you want to review more chord progression that you write something by yourself, you want to review, I can consider to make it in our video lecture. Okay, now let me show you how to play the CP9 and CP10 in the piano. I will show the basic idea for the cadential progression 9 and 10 on the page 10 on your keyboard packet. So first, let's go to the C major for the CP9, 1171, which will be again 1, 1, 7, 1. Okay? So this progression will be easier to study because if you play the CP1, like cadential progression 1, you will recognize we studied 1, 4, 5, 1 before. The only change is about the third chord. the 5 chord become an incomplete 5/7, right? To 1. So that's the point. Okay, and the second progression is start with 3/4, like to 3/4/4/3. Incomplete 5/7. Okay, so that's for the CP9. The CP9 is practiced when you play the incomplete 5/7 to resolve to the complete 1 chord. So that's for the CP9, the whole point of the CP9. Now the harder part is for the CP10, which it's 1, 2, 6, cadential 6/4, complete 5/7 to incomplete 1. So now let me show you how to play the CP10. The progression 1 for the CP10 is 1. Remember, we started the 2/6/4 chord, 2/6 chord before. The 2/6 chord is we double the third. 1, 2, 6. Cadential 6/4. Cadential 6/4. Move the counter motion. Complete 5/7 to incomplete 1. The 7th resolve down. The leading tone resolve up. Again, let me show you to another key. Maybe we do the A major. Right? 1, 2, 6. Cadential 6/4. Complete 5/7. An incomplete 1. So do you know how to practice that? I want to talk a point of in your keyboard packet, you will see that below the 5/7 chord, it have a parenthesis with a C, a letter C, or INC. This means that the chord INC means incomplete. For the C, it means complete 5/7. Okay? And now the CP10, the part B progression will be start on soprano scale degree 3. Oh, oops. 2, 6. 2, 6 is the minor 6 chord. Cadential 6/4. Complete 5/7. Incomplete 1. So that's for the CP10 part B. So to practice this progression, you need to be careful about 2/6 move to cadential 6/4. You can memorize the bass and soprano is moved to a counter motion. 2/6, cadential 6/4, move soprano and bass in a different direction. Okay, so that's for the point. Also, I want to review about the 2/6 chord. I heard a couple of recording that you didn't play the 2/6 chord correctly because some students just mess up by the 2/6 and 4 chord again. The 4 chord is a major quality of the sound. It's really like a loud and really resonant sound. The 2/6 chord is darker than the 4 chord. The 2/6 chord is a minor 6 chord. Right? It's different than. So you need to use your ear to recognize the difference between the 2/6 chord and the 4 chord. Okay, so that's for the CP9 and CP10. Okay, now I want to share how to play the assignment for you. Like to introduce a little bit about your assignment. First, your first assignment is record CP9, section A in F major and D minor. Play the progression first, and then do the vocal arpeggiating up from the tenor. For example, let me show you. For the F major, it will be incomplete 5/7 to 1. D minor 1, 4. 5/7 to 1, right? You play the progression first, and then you play the bass line and sing the upper 3 voice. Find your first pitch. La do fa, si re fa, si do mi, la do fa. This is your play and sing exercise, right? And then D minor, sing. Fa la re, so si re, so la do, fa la re. Right? You can sing slower than me, right? To find the pitch exactly. And now I know some of you do not have the keyboard, right, in your home. I think in your instrument you can do this exercise by arpeggiating very well. I received a couple of recording about use the channel. It sounds really nice. So please do that exercise. And second, the harder part is record CP10 because CP10 in B flat major and C minor, it's not a pair first. It's not B flat major and G minor. The CP10 is a little bit tricky because we have the 2/6 chord. Now let's do the B in the B flat major, right? Cadenza 6/4, complete 5/7 to incomplete 1, and in the G minor as well. Actually, the assignment is not in the G minor; it's in the C minor. But I just gave an example. In the B flat major, the second part of this assignment is play 4 voices, sing the alto voice. It's a little bit hard because when you play the 4 voice and sing the alto voice, it will be hard to find the pitch. So the technique for this is about we find the alto voice to pluck to hear the pitch. C flat first, and then with very slow and nice singing. Especially in the last part. Be careful because it's an incomplete 1. Complete 5/7 to incomplete 1, right? So that's the play and sing. For rest of you, if you don't have keyboard, how to do this exercise? Well, for example, now I'm a flute player. I just play this voice. I play, for example, now it's a flute. So basically, you just play the different voice separately, play the different voices separately, and then when you sing the alto, you play this key, play the, to click that key in flute, and well, you can sing. Or in some of the I think for woodwind for the flute, I'm sorry that maybe you cannot do the play and sing in the same time with like extended technique, right? So you can leave the note out. For example, you can do do, something like that. You can just take the note out. Or if you are a string player, you can play and sing that voice together. Okay? So that's for the assignment. I'm looking forward for assignment. Also be careful for play the 4 chord and 2/6 chord, the difference. Last, I hope you will stay healthy and everything be the best. I know that this topic is really challenge and it's a hard topic from the tonal practice 1. But I think we will get there because based on effort, you will have more and more accomplishment after starting the music theory. It will accompany for you for the whole life. So it's really important. So I encourage you to study hard and also listen to this lecture carefully. Also, I'm very happy to make this video. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I sincerely wish you all be the best. And thank you. Looking forward to hear your assignment.